Hi everyone! In this video, I am going to explain what the waiver for the U visa is and review Form I-192, Application for Advance Permission to Enter as a Non-Immigrant. Perhaps one of the most complicated forms in the immigration world and a necessary form for most U visa petitioners to receive an approval of their U visa petition. But first, this video should not be construed as creating an attorney-client relationship. This video is made for educational purposes only. If you want legal advice about your immigration case, you should speak to an immigration attorney. Every immigration case is different because each person and their story are unique. You must take care to ensure you are getting the best advice for you specifically before taking any action on your case. In order to understand the purpose of the form and how to correctly complete it, you have to understand the concept of inadmissibility, a legal concept it takes most attorneys weeks and multiple trainings to grasp. According to U.S. immigration law, if someone wants a visa or a green card, they must be what is called admissible to the United States. What makes someone admissible, you may ask? I can best answer this question by telling you what makes someone not admissible. What makes them inadmissible? U.S. Congress passed a law listing all the different types of scenarios that would make someone inadmissible to the United States. As a result, that person cannot get a visa and they cannot get a green card. Visas to the U.S. and green cards are great privileges. Not everyone who applies is going to get a visa or a green card. It's actually really hard to immigrate lawfully to the United States, as any immigrant who has immigrated to the United States will tell you. In order to get a U visa, you must be admissible. If you have done things that make you inadmissible, for example, you have been convicted of a certain type of crime, or you entered the United States unlawfully, or you overstayed your visa, you can apply for an immigration waiver with your U visa petition and allow you to receive a visa. You have to come clean about all the things that make you inadmissible in order to get the waiver or be forgiven. It is kind of like going to confession. You can't get the waiver and you can't be forgiven if you don't tell the whole truth and confess. If you are applying for a U visa and you know you have committed violations that make you inadmissible, like entering without inspection or arranging for a family member to come to the United States unlawfully, you must submit Form I-192. If you have past violations and they are not waived, your U visa petition will be denied. It doesn't matter if you qualify for a U visa. You cannot get a U visa if you have violations that make you inadmissible and they have not been waived or forgiven. You might be asking me, well, how do I know if I've committed violations that make me inadmissible, and how do I know which violations I need a waiver for? I'm going to go through a list of the most common factors that make someone inadmissible right now. The first one is convictions of certain crimes called crimes involving moral turpitude. There is no clear black and white definition of crimes involving moral turpitude, but I can tell you that a simple DUI without aggravating factors is not a crime involving moral turpitude. Lots of different types of crimes can be crimes involving moral turpitude. There are also a lot of exceptions to this factor of crimes, depending on the sentence you received, how old you were, and how long ago the conviction occurred. If you have criminal trouble, I recommend hiring an immigration attorney to conduct an analysis for you to help you figure out if any of your convictions make you inadmissible to the United States, and if so, help you fill out Form I-192. I should tell you, if you have multiple DUI convictions, USCIS may argue that you have a mental disorder that makes you a danger to yourself and to the community. They see multiple DUIs as a sign of alcoholism or drug addiction, and that can also be a factor that makes you inadmissible to the United States. So, to repeat, if you have criminal trouble, I recommend getting an experienced immigration attorney to do an analysis for you, to advise you if any of your convictions are crimes involving moral turpitude, or to determine if USCIS might think you have some mental health disorders. Another type of crime that is common are crimes involving controlled substances like cocaine or marijuana. The federal government takes these crimes seriously, including marijuana, even though many states in the United States have legalized marijuana. The federal government does not care if the use of marijuana is legal in the state where you work, go to school, or live. Do not use controlled substances if you are an immigrant. Violations that are the most common and relevant to the U visa are immigration violations. A common violation is entering the United States without inspection, meaning no one looked at your passport or a visa, stamped it, or waved you through, or permitted you to enter, or you came to the United States with a smuggler. Other violations are you were in removal proceedings and you didn't show up to your hearing, or you lied on an immigration petition or application about something very important, or you were a stowaway. Smuggling is also a violation. This means you accompanied someone into the United States, or you helped pay a smuggler to smuggle someone into the United States. This includes family members like your spouse or children. So that's why it comes up so much. People travel with their families, and if you entered the U.S. unlawfully with your child, the federal government considers that smuggling. It's not that people are smugglers or coyotes, it's that they are coming to the U.S. with their children and other family members. Another one is if you didn't have a passport when you came to the United States, or you didn't have a visa when you entered. Another one is also if you were once deported from the United States and then you came back to the United States unlawfully. And if you've been living in the United States unlawfully for at least 180 days. If you have unlawfully traveled back and forth from your home country and the United States many times after having been unlawfully in the United States for more than 1 year, that also makes you inadmissible. It's the idea that you have committed multiple immigration violations with your multiple trips. If you have done any of those things, you need a waiver to get a U visa. You must submit Form I-192 with your U visa petition. One factor that is not common at all, but you should know as a U visa petitioner specifically, is that if you are applying for a U visa and you were a member of the Nazi Party from 1933 to 1945, this violation will never be waived or forgiven, ever. Yes, this is still relevant. There are still members of the Nazi Party alive and in hiding. One former Nazi was arrested the other day, about a year ago in Tennessee. He was a prison guard in a Nazi camp during World War II, and he was arrested by ICE and removed back to Germany. So this does still come up in immigration world. Along with your Form I-192, you must also submit a statement about all your immigration violations. We talk about the statement in another video. Let's look at Form I-192 now. I-192, you can find it on the USCIS website. This is what the page looks like. Okay, you can click on the form here and the instructions. All right, let's get to it. All right, part 1, application type. I am seeking this permission so that I may obtain admission as a non-immigrant, other than as a T or U non-immigrant, status as a victim of trafficking, T, or a victim of a crime, U. All right, so we're definitely picking this one because it's for U visa petitioners. And then you might be a little bit confused. You might be thinking, well, I'm already in the United States, so why am I seeking permission to enter? Well, in a way, you are seeking permission to enter. You're seeking a different type of lawful status. It's like a legal fiction. So just pretend you're knocking at the door, waiting to be let into the United States to get a U visa.
All right, part 2, information about you, your full name. Going on to part 2, other names you've used, aliases, maiden names, nicknames, your A number. That is the number assigned to your immigration file. If you've ever been to immigration court, you have an A number. If you've ever applied for a visa, you have an A number. If anyone's ever applied for a visa for you, you have an A number. So find out what it is and put it here. If you don't have one, just write, NA, right? USCIS online account. If you have an online account, you put that here. Your date of birth, your gender. If you don't identify with either one of those, you can write which gender you identify with. But if you do identify with either one of these, and it's not the sex on your birth certificate, you can pick whatever gender you want, and USCIS will generally honor it. Your place of birth, the city that you were born in, the state, the country, your country of citizenship or nationality, just biographic information about you, your mailing address, a safe mailing address. If you live with people who you don't know very well and you don't want them seeing your mail, you can have a P.O. box address here, or you can have your attorney's address. Right, so it's a nice option to have. Right, your address history just during the last 5 years, okay? So don't make this complicated. Don't include all your addresses ever. It's just in the past 5 years. And then you'll see down here it asks for the date, the month, the day, the year. If you don't remember the exact date, but you do remember, the month, just write, the first of the month, okay? That's an example. If you don't remember an exact date. Okay, so you get the whole page to do that. Right, more information about you. But look, if you're applying for a T or U non-immigrant status and are in the United States, you may skip item numbers 20 through 25. So looky here, we don't even have to fill this out, so we're just going to skip it. Okay, you need to remember that this visa is discretionary. Just because you qualify for the visa doesn't mean you're going to get it. Or get advance permission to enter. So they do have a right to ask you information about your criminal history. So the first question, do you believe that you may be inadmissible to the United States? Yes. We're checking that because that's the whole point in filling out the form. You think you're inadmissible, you need a waiver, or in other words, to be forgiven for why you are inadmissible. And then you'll see here, if you answered yes, explain the reasons why you believe according to the best of your knowledge. So we'll talk more about that later. And then, have you ever previously filed an application for advanced permission to enter the United States as a non-immigrant? If you've applied for this before, of course, disclose it. They're going to figure it out anyway. Date the application was filed, location where you filed it, the receipt number if available. Have you ever been in the United States for a period of 6 months or more? Yes, that's going to be generally true for most of you. And then, have you ever filed an application or petition for immigration benefit with the U.S. government, or has one ever been filed on your behalf? You can disclose that here, fill in that information. Have you ever been denied or refused an immigration benefit? You must disclose that and explain the situation. And then here's a general criminal question. Have you ever in or outside of the United States? They want to know about all your criminal trouble. Been arrested, cited, charged, indicted, fined, convicted, etc., etc. If you check yes, you could explain in part 8 additional information or provide a separate sheet of paper, with an explanation of what happened. This is all pretty straightforward. Part 3, biographic information. Ethnicity, race, height, weight, eye color, hair color. And then employment history for just the past 5 years, okay? So just keep it to 5 years. Don't go more than that. And same thing about the dates. You You should try to be as exact as possible, but if you can't remember the day, just write the first of the month, okay? Like, oh, I don't remember the exact date I started. That's okay. Just put, if you remember it was January that you started, just put January 1st. All right, more employment information, and then information about your parents. Your mom's legal name. Mom's name at birth if it was different. Maybe she had a maiden name, or maybe she changed her name. Her date of birth, her city and country of birth. And then the same information for your dad. Oh, and don't forget, current city or town of residence if living. Current country of residence if living. Okay, and then the same information about your father. Your current marital status. How many times have you been married? They want to know all the details. This section's about your current spouse, so only fill in your current spouse. Place of marriage of current spouse. And then you have a spot about your prior marriages. Be as thorough as possible. Fill it all in. They're being really nosy, aren't they? Okay, part 5. So this is where you sign. If you speak English and can read English, you'll check 1A. If you used an interpreter, you'll check 1B and fill in the language. If somebody helped you, like an attorney, you'll check part 2 and fill in their name. Right, your telephone number, right, your email address. You're the applicant. Okay, make sure you read all of this. You're certifying that it's all true and complete under the penalty of perjury. You're going to sign here. If you used an interpreter, the interpreter is going to fill out all of their information in part 6. And then sign right here. And then if you had a preparer, they'll fill out part 7. This is generally where your attorney's information goes. And your attorney will sign, or whoever helped you sign or prepare this will sign it here. All right, on the last page, this is where you have extra space to provide explanations of certain questions that you may have checked yes to. Like, let's say you have been arrested outside of the United States, or you were detained for whatever reason. You could write that information here, or you could just write it on a separate sheet of paper. But you do need to provide citations to the Immigration and Nationality Act, the specific sections that you think you may have violated that make you inadmissible. So I've done samples here, and I'm referring to page 4, part 2, item 26. Remember that question that I checked yes to? It said, hey, do you for any reason think that you're inadmissible to the United States? That was this question. All right, and I'm listing all the reasons why I think I'm inadmissible. Present in the U.S. without permission. I failed to appear at one of my removal hearings. I may have committed fraud on an application. I falsely claim to be a U.S. citizen. I don't know. I just listed all of the different types, samples, okay, like smuggling. This includes paying for a coyote to bring your children and other family members to the United States. So if you ever did that, you need to include this citation. Here's, the citation for not a valid passport or a visa. Scroll up here. Here are other samples. Previously removed. If you've been in the United States for more than 180 days. So here are just samples. And you must provide a statement about why you did what you did, and ask for the waiver or forgiveness that way. And I talk about this statement in another video that you should check out, okay, and what all needs to be included.
I hope all of that makes sense. I hope I was able to teach you something today and you feel empowered. People have rights in the United States. It's what makes the United States a hopeful place. We're certainly not perfect. No country is perfect, but a lot of immigrants still find hope and freedom here. In addition to filling out Form I-192 and writing your statement in support of the application, you also have to pay a filing fee. Currently, the fee is $930. You may apply for a fee waiver if you cannot afford the waiver application. To learn tips about how to fill out the fee waiver application, check out our video about Form I-912 Request for Fee Waiver. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel, where I provide useful tips and strategies on how to proceed with immigration cases. Also, if you have already filed your U visa petition, your journey is not over yet. There is a lot of information you need to know while your U visa petition is pending. Check out our ebook for U visa petitioners in the section below. It's a very detailed and understandable legal resource. It includes legal advice worth thousands of dollars for just $75. After your purchase, you will get the ebook emailed to you immediately, and you can take it with you wherever you go. All those burning questions you have, such as, what do I do if the federal government is taking too long to issue me BFD status? Or what will happen if I divorce my spouse? Or I get married while my U visa petition is pending? And what will happen with my removal case? Are all answered in this resource. Check it out. Thanks for watching and have a great day.